Good evening. 3 years ago, a young man survived an aeroplane crash and then lived 10 days in the jungle before he was rescued. It's an incredible story, and here to tell it is the man himself, Conrad Mendez and Spence.
Hello, it's good to be here.
So, Conrad, tell us your story. You were on the plane to Peru, right?
Right? You see, my father, who is from the States, is a zoologist most of his time in Peru. That's where he met my mother. She is actually from Brazil, and I was flying from Rio to meet my father when the accident happened somewhere. Over the Bolivian rainforest.
So, what happened to the plane?
We were flying through a terrible storm. There was a lot of turbulence and I couldn't see outside. It was so dark suddenly I saw a flash of lightning and then the wing caught fire. Within minutes, it broke apart and the plane started going down. As you can imagine, I was terrified. Suddenly, I realized I was not on the plane anymore and I was flying down towards the jungle, still strapped to my seat. I thought I was going to die. What are the chances of surviving a plane crash, right? But I did. Luckily, the trees are very thick in that part of the rainforest and they broke my fall. Also, I was falling backwards, so my injuries weren't that bad. I just had a broken collarbone and a bad cut on my arm.
That's amazing. But then, you still had to deal with the jungle.
I wasn't too scared of that. I've spent a lot of time in the jungle with my father, and I recognize the dangers. My first thought was to find other passengers, but I was unsuccessful. In fact, I couldn't find any survivors, or even the plane. They must have been miles away.
What about food or water?
I came across a river, so at least I had water to drink. As for food, I was able to find some fruit in the jungle. But after a few days, I was really weak. I was starting to give up hope when I heard rescue helicopters overhead. They were looking for the plane, I imagined, but the trees were so thick that they couldn't see me. So I wasn't rescued. Then the following day, I decided to follow the river as far as I could. I thought that maybe I could find a village or something. A few miles down the river, I spotted a boat and decided to wait there. Later that day, 2 fishermen found me unconscious, but alive, by their boat.
Where did they take you?
They took me to the nearest hospital, which was 7 hours away. There, I found out that out of the 87 passengers on the plane, I was one of the lucky survivors along with 8 other people. Amazingly, they had survived the crash, too. But they were all badly injured and only lasted a couple of days. In the end, I was the only survivor.
That's just terrible. Have you been back there since?
Actually, I'm going back for the first time next month, as part of a documentary Channel 5 is making. I'm going to visit the site of the plane crash and meet up with the fisherman who saved me. It's strange because it was such a terrifying experience for me, but for some reason, I can't wait to return. It's a part of my life that I just can't forget.
Well, it's a fascinating story, that's for sure. Now, we're going to